Note to learner: this video provides content that will be hosted on the Ginnie Mae LMS in the near future. In this video, you will not be able to interact with screen content to include selecting pop-ups, launching resource hyperlinks, and answering knowledge check questions. Nonetheless, you will be presented with all of the content presented in the interactive e-learning training. Though the audio narration may request that you select items or buttons on the screen, please pause the video to read the content and then select play to continue with the video. When the video advances to a knowledge check, please pause the video and try to answer the question in your head. Select play to see the correct answer or answers to the question. Welcome to the compliance review process. The purpose of this training is to present the compliance review process, including the types of reviews, life cycle, key documentation and personnel supporting the review, and risk severity criteria. Select objectives to learn what you will be able to do by the end of this module. Select Next to continue when you are ready. Let's explore the main types of compliance reviews: Forward MBS Issuer Review, Reverse HMBS Issuer Review, Document Custodian Review, Representations and Warranties, R&W Reviews. Let's explore the specifics of each review now. Select each folder tab to review the details. Select Next when you are finished. Now, try this knowledge check. There are 4 main phases to the compliance review lifecycle. The first phase is scheduling. During this phase, the issuer is contacted by the field review contractor, FRC. The issuer verifies availability of staff, provides POC for activities, and determines location of review. The second phase is advance, during which the issuer receives the advance letter. The issuer reviews the advance letter, provides advance documentation, receives sample selections, completes advance questionnaire, and uploads requested documents such as advance letter, advance questionnaire, and sample selections. The third phase is on-site review, during which the entrance conference occurs. The issuer monitors status reports and provides additional documentation or responds to questions. Such documentation includes status reports, findings worksheets, and the draft report. The fourth and last phase is follow-up, during which the exit conference occurs. The issuer responds immediately to all identified findings, monitors disagreement process, and prepares and submits Findings Resolution Plan, FRP, which includes the final report and final disposition communications. To take a closer look at each of these stages of the life cycle, select Life Cycle Details. Select Next to continue when you are finished. Compliance reviews are scheduled by the FRC at the request of Ginnie Mae. The FRC Advance team contacts the point of contact according to Ginnie Mae's records. This typically occurs from 1 to 2 months in advance of the proposed review date. Keep your account executive informed as to the point of contact for compliance reviews so that the right person is contacted. General rules to determine review frequency include: for probationary issuers, 3 reviews are scheduled within 24 months following issuance of the first pool. For all other issuers, the review is scheduled at least once every 3 years. Reviews could be more frequent based on the risk profile of the issuer. More frequent reviews may occur with larger issuers or issuers with high-risk findings from previous reviews. Select Next to continue. Now, turn your attention to the advance process. Let's examine the documentation requested, the scope of the request, and the scope of the time. Importantly, Documentation should be provided to the advance team at least 1 week prior to the review. Sample selections can only be provided upon receipt of the requested information. Pool selections are made from a pool list for the selected review test period. The sample pools or loans are taken from the data provided by issuers in response to the advanced queue data files provided to the field review contractor, FRC. Select Next to continue. The advance team will collect the following information: additional points of contact, if applicable, the number and types of bank accounts, that is, collection clearing, lockbox, special escrow, custodial, etc., and portfolio types, including Ginnie Mae 1, Ginnie Mae 2, MF, SF, and MH. They will also collect servicing system service bureau information and logistical information, such as office hours, parking locations, and dress code. The advance team will confirm the timing of the review. Note: actual time to complete review will be based upon timely responses and availability of information. Finally, subservicer information, if applicable, is collected. The advance questionnaire should answer the following questions. Is the first testing performed by the review team? Is the questionnaire comprised of numerous questions spanning miscellaneous topics, mostly operational, and not related to the pool or loan level testing? Note that the advance questionnaire requires coordination between the issuer and subservicer to complete if a subservicer is used. Select the advance process list available in Resources to explore the information to provide 1 week prior to the review by the entrance conference. To learn more about the advance letter, select Advance Letter Scope and Advance Letter Contents. Select Next when you are finished. The entrance conference serves as the formal kickoff of the on-site testing portion of the review. Any potential areas of concern noted prior to the entrance conference will be discussed, as well as key missing documentation. All logistics of the review will be finalized. There are 4 types of testing as part of the entrance conference. First is cash management testing, which evaluates how an issuer handles funds that are remitted from borrowers and passed through to security holders and assesses the accuracy reporting. Second is delinquency testing, which evaluates the effectiveness of the issuer's default management practices and procedures. Third is liquidations testing, which evaluates issuer management and reporting of liquidated loans. Fourth is endorsement testing, which evaluates the existence of agency insurance or guarantee on the Ginnie Mae portfolio. To learn more about the entrance conference, select each testing button above. Select Next to continue. After the entrance conference is the exit conference, which closes the on-site portion of the review and finalizes the results of the testing with the issuer in order to begin the follow-up process. It provides the issuer or its designee with a draft report and a findings worksheet. The draft report lists all findings issued and the details leading to their issuance as discussed in the findings worksheet. It also provides a summary of the follow-up process and contact information for conducting follow-up activities to resolve findings. The findings worksheet is signed by the issuer or its designee and is generated for each instance of non-compliance noted during the review. It provides the details of the finding issued and provides the issuer with an opportunity to agree with conditions, or disagree. If the issuer agrees, the issuer understands the finding and agrees that it is applicable in this instance. If the issuer agrees with conditions, the issuer understands the finding and believes it likely that the finding is correctly issued, but would like to note potential mitigating factors. If the issuer disagrees, the issuer believes the finding is incorrectly issued and has prepared in writing a basis for disagreement. Select Next to continue. During the follow-up, the Findings Resolution Plan, FRP, must be submitted. The FRP has two components: correction and mitigation of identified conditions and prevention of recurrence of identified conditions. Correction and mitigation of identified conditions contains a description of the steps taken to correct the identified issues and mitigate the conditions causing issuance of the finding. It includes additional supporting documentation reflecting the issuer's internal correction and mitigation of the identified issues. Prevention of recurrence of identified conditions contains a description of the policies and procedures implemented to prevent the recurrence of conditions causing the finding of noncompliance. It contains additional supporting documentation reflecting implementation of the policies, procedures described within the FRP. Select Next to continue. The Findings Mitigation Timeline Requirements and the Timeline for Submission of Findings Resolution Plans, FRPs, both vary with the finding risk level. The 4 risk levels are high risk, cash-related, high risk, medium risk, and low risk. Select Next to continue. There are 5 statuses associated with the findings as follows. Open, which is a finding issued in draft report which has not had its status otherwise changed. Mitigate, which is a finding with an accepted FRP. Deleted, which is a finding which is considered removed from the draft report. Non-recurring, which is a low-risk finding that was not mitigated or deleted. And lastly, referred, which is any finding referred to Ginnie Mae for final resolution. The final report, which is provided on letterhead, finalizes all the findings summarized in the draft report. It must be provided no later than 30 days after the exit conference. The final report will indicate the status of all findings, even if the findings were deleted. It may be provided prior to all findings being mitigated. The follow-up process will continue even after the issuance of the final report. Select Next to continue. Now try this knowledge check. Now that you understand the compliance review lifecycle, let's explore the role of the subservicer and the subcontractor in this process. Regarding subservicers in the compliance review process, the issuer is responsible for the performance of its subservicer. The compliance review is generally performed on-site at the subservicer. However, it is strongly recommended that the issuer actively participate in the review by providing a point of contact (POC) during the course of the review, even if you can't attend the review, making the POC available to the review team and subservicer staff during the review, providing oversight of the subservicer's responsiveness and responses during the review. Regarding subcontractors in the compliance review process, servicing functions that are outsourced to a subcontractor may require that the subcontractor interact with the review team. For examples, select Outsourced Servicing. When you are finished, select Next to continue. Note that findings are communicated to the issuer during the course of the review by the FRC. Monitoring the findings as they are communicated will prepare the issuer for the findings identified in the draft final letter and the finding worksheet. Compliance review findings may be referred to Ginnie Mae for 2 reasons. Any finding which requires an FRP that has not been mitigated within 90 days after the exit conference, the nature of the finding has led to an issue for which resolution of the finding is unlikely in the FRC's judgment based on the FRP, determined that only Ginnie Mae can resolve. The Ginnie Mae mortgage banking analyst has the responsibility to resolve referred and disputed findings. If a finding is referred and not resolved prior to a subsequent review, this may be noted in the subsequent review's report. If the finding has been referred to Ginnie Mae by the FRC, work with the issuer to resolve the finding. Only the mortgage banking analyst can delete a finding. Communicate the results of the referred finding to issuer. Select Next to continue. Now, try this knowledge check. When findings are issued on a compliance review, 3 risk severity levels and their associated criteria are considered. High risk poses risk to Ginnie Mae of non-timely or inaccurate payments to security holders, risk of issuer default and extinguishment by Ginnie Mae, and risk to Ginnie Mae of losses in the event of default and extinguishment. High risk represents significant internal controls procedural deficiency that, if not addressed, could disrupt management and transfer of the portfolio if Ginnie Mae were to assume the portfolio as a result of a default and extinguishment. Medium risk represents a failure to administer the portfolio that could, if not addressed, negatively affect its future value. It also represents operational deficiencies that could lead to unreliable reporting of data to Ginnie Mae, as well as issues of noncompliance that hinder the efforts of Ginnie Mae to provide proper oversight. Low risk represents all procedural findings that are not categorized as high or medium risk. Select Next to continue. Now try this knowledge check. The goal of this training module was to provide you with an overview of the compliance review process. You learned there are 4 main types of compliance reviews, including the Forward Issuer Review, Reverse HMBS Issuer Review, the Document Custodian Review, and the Representations and Warranties Review. You explored the compliance review lifecycle phases of scheduling, advanced process, on-site review, and follow-up, examining the associated requirements and outputs for each phase. Next, you examined the role of the subservicer, subcontractor, and the mortgage banking analyst in the compliance review process. Finally, you learned about the 3 risk severity levels and their criteria by which compliance review findings are designated. Select objectives for a review of what you should now be able to do. You may use the exit button to leave this presentation at this time.